about crochet scams. And so I was just on a live stream with this young girl who was very, very paranoid. And all I was doing was asking some questions, and all she could keep saying was that I was asking pointed questions. And I was thinking, what in the world does that mean? She got offended by all the questions that I asked. Um, and, because most people want to know how people earn revenue on the internet, because most of us know it's not sustainable right now. Those of us who used to do it in the past know that it's no longer sustainable. Things are very challenging, and revenue was pulled because of the network person. And so, but it turns out she did answer the questions, and she was getting more angry and offended as time passed. And so she said that she sells artwork through PDF documents, and she sells patterns through PDF documents, and she sells all of them on Etsy. Now, what this turns out to be is the Etsy scams. That's what they are, is the Etsy scams. And so I didn't tell her that because, it's not, she has moderators in there, and her moderators are going to be in there and just agree with her. That's why the moderators are in YouTube chats. She was actually calling me a troll. And then I happened to mention, I said, well, if this is how you treat customers, if you ever worked for retail, I would not want to go in your store. That's pretty much what I said. And I told her, thank you for letting me know that I'm not welcome here. Have a nice day. And I left. Um, because my goodness, she had this big sense of entitlement that, because I asked her about the join thing. I said, now, for people on fixed income, such as senior citizens and United States military, I said, what is the purpose of us joining your YouTube community for? And then being taken to Discord. Like, we have a community here on YouTube. And so what I'm talking about is the crochet Etsy scams of people who sell non-tangible products through PDF documents. And so I had come across, hello, baseball is the best. Hello, baseball is the best. And so I'm talking about the fraud and scams related to people who are selling things inside of a PDF document. So you're not actually getting a product. And they're doing this on Etsy. So they're selling all kinds of things. Etsy is just a huge, I don't know if it's money laundering or what in the world they got going on there. But a lot of people are just selling non-tangible products through Etsy. That's what it's about. They put something in a PDF document and then they transfer it as a sale. Well, that goes into the cryptocurrency realm. So it goes into the cryptocurrency realm, which means that there's a transfer of money, but you're not actually getting a product or an asset. It's not something comparable to real life, where you used to get a book or a magazine or something like that. So that's what we're talking about today. In the past, yes, and please don't think I'm weird for saying this, because I'm sure that people think I'm weird for saying that you should be getting a tangible product when you purchase something on the internet. So okay, I'll use another example. So for example, if you spend $80 for a pair of shoes, you don't want someone sending you shoes in a PDF document now, do you? I don't think you do. And I know that's a weird analogy for me to be using, but that's what it's like. It would be if you went to Etsy and you purchased shoes for $90 and they sent you a PDF document. You would be mad because you think you're going to be getting real shoes, right? So, but all they send you then is a PDF document with a bunch of stuff in it. There's something shady going on there. And so there's another lady, and I'd kind of forgotten about her. She'd slipped my mind, and her video popped up again this morning. There's a couple of them. And so they know exactly what's going on. They know it's a scam and they're talking about it too. And so it's something really big in the crochet community. And I know it's on Ravelry as well. It's a problem with Ravelry and Etsy. And so these people who, I believe they have ties to Ravelry and Etsy somehow, maybe even Facebook. And so they're trying to get people to go to other websites. They're trying to get people off of YouTube. And so this particular woman wants to take people off over to Discord. Why? I don't know. But she's also selling stuff on Etsy. Hello, Coo Kid. Am I playing what? What would I be playing? What are you playing? You don't know what you're playing? You don't know what you're playing. Okay. Well, you guys, I mean, I still trying to figure out how there's kids on here when they're under a certain, I think under 13, they're not supposed to be on the internet, but yet where I'm at here, there's kids under the age of 13 who are on the internet by their own self. And so I try very cautiously to be very politically nicer or more courteous related to content. I mean, I know it's things that kids are going to hear, but the thing is, YouTube has these rules and guidelines. Oh, thank you for subscribing. Thank you so much. If you have any more friends that you would like to, share this with your friends and ask your friends to subscribe, I would appreciate it. Ask more of your friends to subscribe. I think it would be great to get more views, and I'm trying to do things that kids like to watch that they would think is funny. Stuff that's not like overly adult, I mean, sometimes it might have some jokes and stuff in it, but we have kind of limits to what we can do that's appropriate. And so I'm just trying to do things that kids like to watch. But you know what? You young kids are going to remember this. I know when I was a child, we heard about frauds from time to time, even though I'm trying to think. I think the biggest thing that we learned when I was a kid, my analogy of what a fraud would have been someone stealing from the offering plate. Yeah, that would have been a fraud. So that's something, that I would have comprehended as a kid. Now, there's some other kids, when I was a child, they said that they would make change in the offering plate when they passed the offering plate around. So if their mom only wanted to put 50 cents in, then they would put in $1 and then take out 50 cents. And they would make change, because she said they wanted to put just $1 in and they'd take out 50 cents. And I think that was probably okay to do that. And so I asked my mom about it, and my mom told me, she says, oh no, if you put $1 in there, you need to leave the dollar in there. The offering plate is not intended to be taking money out of the offering plate. I never thought that people who needed money might have taken money out of the offering plate. I would have never thought of that. Maybe that's something that's happened before. That the offering plate went around, and if there was people who actually needed money, that they took money out of it and the church didn't care. I never looked at it like that before till just now. Because there was all kinds of people who said in the past, they said that they needed money. They didn't have any food to eat, and so the kids took the money out of the offering plate. Maybe that's how it worked. The kids took the money out of the offering plate, and then they wouldn't get in trouble for it because they're kids and they didn't know any better. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think. So let me see. So we got 2 people in here. or we have had 2 people in here. I was trying to get the, okay. Oh no, I didn't want to hide the chat. That's not what I wanted to do. No. Chat filter. No, I was trying to do all message. Why can't I do this the right way? Chat filter. I wanted to do all messages because I was thinking maybe I missed some. Okay. Okay, so we were talking about purchasing things that are not tangible. Okay, so that, and I make this analogy related to spirituality and God too, because when you're selling, because religion is selling an invisible being that we can't see. It's an invisible deity that we can't see. Oh, thank you so much for the smiley faces and the hearts, and thank you. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. And so spirituality is very, very similar to purchasing something from Etsy that is a non-tangible product, because if the computer does not exist, you can't use it. And so that's the same thing like with church. If a church building does not exist, then God does not exist. But according to well, hello, yes, England ants, yes, please share your input. Please share your input. Yes. I mean, because, so I'm making an analogy between Etsy and the people who sell PDF documents. So if you don't have a computer, you're not going to be able to read that PDF document that people are selling. You just lose it. And that's the same thing like when you make videos on the internet. If you lose your account, you lose your business. And so, but in the past, when you purchased something such as a magazine of some sort from someone, you got a tangible product for it. And yeah, I mean, did you think of that before? I know that I knew that I was not thinking back in 2006. Now, 2006, we were always talking about PDF documents, and I did not know how people were making PDF documents. I do now, because people have told me that you can actually save to a PDF document by hitting print and then save. And so I know that there was an Adobe, or was it Adobe or Acrobat, one of them, where you could make PDF documents, and people would make them very, very elaborate. And they would put videos in them, and they would share them around with people. And so I guess that was one way to be able to share videos in a PDF document, and then making it small so that it would fit inside of the email. Now, the emails have a little bit larger file storage than what we did in the past. In the past, we had smaller file storage for emails because we didn't have as much room as what we have now. Do you have any questions, England ants? That's an interesting name, England ants. It has me wondering now if there's such a thing as ants with a name that goes by English. It has me wondering that. And so, but let's get back to the PDF documents, though, because I think that's a serious problem. And I know there's been a lot of discussion with civic leaders who have talked about the problem with the selling of PDF documents by themselves. Now, think of this too. Oh my gosh, let me take it a little bit further down the rabbit hole. And that is, so for example, Let's say you decided to buy a house. So you're looking on the internet at some houses. And you just decide, well, I like the look of this house. It's so beautiful. I love the look of this house. I think I want to buy it. So you set up all these plans and everything, and they send you everything in a PDF document, and you give some money to someone for it. I'm telling you right now, before I go any further, do not do that. Do not give anybody your money, because that's a horrible way to lose. That it's a cruel way for people to lose money. Do not give them your money. I'm telling you that right now. I would not advise that. But let me continue with my story. So someone sends you a PDF document and money is involved. And so you have this PDF document. You guys are switching these documents back and forth in the email, and money is exchanged. And then they send you a final PDF document with a bunch of things signed on that PDF document. And so then they're telling you that you own the house. And so you think you own a house someplace, and that, or, it could just be an investment property too. Think of it like that. Maybe it was just an investment property, or kind of like a timeshare. It's a cost sharing type of a thing, where it's bundled up, sort of like Wall Street and stocks and things like that. Well, then come to find out it's a scam, and you got scammed. And you don't actually own that house or that property. So, I mean, it's kind of like a Ponzi scam, where someone has said, okay, there's multi ways of looking at this scam, and how deep and how far down a rabbit hole it can go with PDF documents. That's what I'm thinking. So on a smaller scale, you have people in the crafting community who are selling patterns, and they're not providing a tangible product with it. That's a small scale. But on a much larger scale, you can have money laundering. Because I'm thinking you show someone this house, and you exchange money for this PDF document. And this person thinks they're going to earn money or of some sort from an investment. And so they put money towards this house, and they're calling it an investment. And they send a PDF document. Let's say it's something in a foreign country too. We could even take it that far. Because that's how people do business. Now, I'm thinking in my mind right now, it's like, it just sounds so crazy that someone would part with $500,000 for property and then wire them that money. Now, I know there's a lot of rich folks. I keep hearing that about all these rich folks who have a whole bunch of money to give to people. But I was just thinking of it on a larger scale. So I was kind of taken from the small scale of Etsy and selling patterns that are made by artificial intelligence. And so on Etsy, the crochet patterns are made by artificial intelligence. They have a lot of mistakes in them, but people are selling them, and they're making money through it. Some of these YouTube channels, they have tens of thousands of patterns that they have sold through Etsy, and they've made money that way off of patterns, when some of them say they don't even know how to write patterns. They said they learned how to crochet on YouTube, but they don't actually know how to write patterns even, or make a pattern. So if they can't make a pattern, the only way that they could be doing that is by using artificial intelligence. Hello, Rifat Batul. And so this means that the people in foreign countries who have been scamming Americans, so clearly that means America is on to what the scams you guys are doing. We're not going to be sending you money for some property on a tropical island that you are calling an investment. Well, hello, Rafat, you're back. Um, did I see you earlier? Or were you here under a different name? I know you're under the top fans. You're number 2 right now under the top fans. If you leave another comment or two, you'll probably get number 1. Yeah, it looks like Rafat, you're number 1 right now. You've got 75 extra special points. You hurted me in... How did I hurt you in the live? What do you mean that I hurt you? What do you mean that how did I hurt you in the live stream? I'm not sure what I did. Can you explain that? How I hurted you in the live stream? I'm not sure what I did. Did I hurt your feelings? I mean, is that what you're referencing? Is your feelings being hurt somehow? With a fan? What do you mean with a fan? I hurt your feelings with a fan? I don't know what you're talking about. With a fan? I don't recall having a fan. What kind of fan did I have that hurt your feelings? Okay, you're going to have to explain a little bit better how I hurt your feelings with a fan. You say that I'm a kid and I can't listen to your life. Oh, are you an adult? Because I'm sorry if I called you a kid. Because I know that I'm sorry. I am so sorry if I called you a kid and you're an adult. I mean, what I was saying is that kids over the age of 13 can listen to live streams. But what I said is that I know that there's kids under 13 who somehow they are listening to live streams. I guess they're using their parents' phones. And you said that how my balance allows me to listen. Your balance? Your balance allows you to... Now you retracted the message. I'm not sure what you meant by your balance. Well, okay, so you retracted you put the message up and then you took it away. You say that how can my parents allow me to listen to... Yeah, well, yes, that's what I was saying. Yeah, I did say that. Okay, I'm just pointing out that some kids' parents will allow them to listen on their phones to people's live streams. That's what I was referencing. I'm not sure how I hurt your feelings over that. Because it's the parent's choice. And now the thing is, I'm not doing anything that's harmful to anyone. I don't think. I'm just pointing out things from my perspective. But if someone's feelings get hurt, I don't have control over that. I mean, it's... Now, that's thrown around a lot, is that people get their feelings hurt over something, and they blame someone else for something that we have no control over, because if a person says their feelings are hurt over something, well, why are their feelings hurt to begin with? Because the person talking to them is not going to know if it's something that is a trigger point for them or is something that makes them sensitive. Now, there's a lot of people who are sensitive to a lot of things that others are not going to know they're sensitive to. That time I don't remember when you were crying. Like, why were you crying? Why were you crying? Well, I remember, oh my goodness, you reminded me of something of a time when I was crying. Um, but that was a different YouTube channel, though. I had another YouTube channel, but that was something else that was going on when I was being bullied by my husband. Now, I'm not going to talk about that because you said you're a child, and I think that's probably above your interest. And the fans said I'm fat and an ugly kid. The fans? Who? Oh, one of the fans watching my video told you that you're a fat and ugly kid? Well, I don't have control over what other people, I don't have control over what the fans say to each other. In fact, I find it really hard to believe that fans actually talk to each other because it's very hard to communicate. And fans just are not capable of having that kind of dialogue with each other at this point. The only way fans can do that is in the chat, but the fans, maybe they make a little bit of noise and stuff and they grind their gears from time to time, but it's going to be really hard to understand what the fans are saying. I mean, yeah, they might moan and groan a little bit, and they might be a little bit squeaky here and there. You have a dialogue. Oh, you have a dialogue with all your how many fans do you? Oh, Jeffrey Epstein. Oh my God. Jeffrey Epstein. Well, hello, Jeffrey. Hello, Jeffrey. I knew you were still alive. I knew you were still alive, Jeffrey. Are you either you're contacting me clairvoyantly from the jail cell, or I mean from the other side of death, or you're in the jail cell contacting me, Jeffrey. Rifat, she bullied you? How did I bully you? I bullied you. How did I? No, I want to talk. I'm on. Oh, you're on your way to Epstein Island. Okay, Jeffrey? How are you getting to Epstein Island? Are you going on? Are you going on the Jeffrey Epstein Speedway boat? How are you going there, Jeffrey? I'm so sorry, Jeffrey. To the other day, I was calling you Hepstein Jeffries, because I was having a speech impediment in chat. Sometimes I do that, and I put an H in front of your name, and I was saying Hepstein Jeffries instead of Jeffrey Epstein. Your friend Trump let me borrow. Oh my God, your dear friend, he let you borrow his jet? You mean you took his fancy Trump airplane to Epstein Island? You know, I have seen Epstein Island, and I was thinking, no, Rafat, I'm not laughing at you. Absolutely no. I feel so bad that somebody said something to make you feel bad. But now, Jeffrey, I have seen Epstein Island, and isn't it somewhere off the Bahamas or somewhere, or near the Virgin Islands? And I was looking at Epstein Island, and I was thinking, is it big enough for the Trump jet to even land on it? Because I was thinking it might be like Airplane Island in the Virgin Islands, and where they can barely get a jet to land on it, and the beach is eroding away. This is so cool. I get a conversation with Jeffrey Epstein. I knew Jeffrey was still alive. I knew he was still alive, because the only alternative would be is if Jeffrey was murdered in his jail cell. Now, I think Jeffrey didn't actually go to jail and that the whole story was made up and that Donald made the story up and that I do believe that, Jeffrey, that you are friends with Donald, right? Jeffrey? Well, you did say you're friends with Donald, so um for the second time, I am not. Well, I know. Well, and Jeffrey, the pictures that they showed in the jail cell, the pictures that I saw. Well, I thought the same thing. Why in the world would you have been? Because when you're put inside of a cement jail cell, and the picture they showed everybody, millions and millions of people around the world, billions of people around the world, the picture was a cement jail cell, and there was no place to even hang a sheet in the jail cell. And I'd often thought, why? I thought the same thing too. Why in the world would this man want to kill himself? It's like he's inside of a prison. He's safe from whatever's going on, even though a prison is. You hate me? Okay, you hate me. That's fine. Rafat, you hate me. Batul. Um, Goodbye, Rafat, Batul. Now I can have a conversation with Jeffrey because there was something about Jeffrey that just did not make any sense to me at all. Even though I try not to fixate on it. Um because it's like he's a human being and I think he was a scapegoat. He was accused of doing things he may or may not have done for the purposes of tabloid gossip. And you can tell me if I'm too far off, Jeffrey, if you're still here. If I'm too far off that people just made stuff up about you. Oh. If you're friends with Trump, then you were a scapegoat in the media to detract attention off of Donald. Exactly, someone finally. I see, I get. Well, Jeffrey, I have my own reasons why I understand you, and I've talked about it a little bit. I totally understand you. I totally get what's going on with you. The distractions from. Okay, so the distractions from reality are that when a. Okay, I have to word this in such a way that I'm not making accusations. So I'm going to make up a name and I'm going to call him Gumpled Dump. Okay, so there's a man named Gumpled Dump and he's embezzling money. But in order to get the media off of his trail, he makes up a story about someone like Jeffrey Epstein. And they bite. So he's fishing and they bite. Well, Rafat, please stay. You're welcome to stay. I thought you said you were leaving, but you're so welcome to stay. And now you're distracting me from Jeffrey. Jeffrey needed some attention and he was trying to talk to the media. Now, Jeffrey is in the same position as the politicians are right now because Jeffrey is a scapegoat for Donald. Well, you know who else was a scapegoat? Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels were scapegoats as well. Am I right, Jeffrey? I think I'm. I we have understood you guys for a long time. I don't know if I'm getting through to anyone. And the censorship, because they have their key words, their political identity words, their, what do they call it, identity politics words that they've been using for a very, very long time. And I was going to say something. Well, I was censored this morning. I did get through to I will say this much. I got through to a very, very famous and popular TV show, and I did say some things, and I got hot censored fast when I went into the area of cryptocurrency. They cut me off, and they cut the TV off where I'm at too. The TV was cut off, and the phone was cut off. Now my internet was not cut off. They cut me off hot and fast. It was just insane. It's like, I didn't even get to finish. You let the other people finish speaking. They would not let me finish my thought. Yes, the whole list is made up and it was all lies. Yeah, I believe that. No, that's what they're saying is that I believe you, Jeffrey. So um, yeah, because there's always more than one side of a story. And the people who are telling the truth are the ones who don't get to speak out. I will make, Rafat Batul says, the CIA invented cryptocurrency. Oh, that's interesting. There's, I have a suspicion that the cryptocurrency was created to try to be competition to the dollar. I mean, I view cryptocurrency as having a stable currency because there's part of the American dollar is inside of cryptocurrency, because we use cryptocurrency when we pay through a digital card. That's sort of cryptocurrency, but it is backed by the government, though. Now, there's other forms of cryptocurrency that are not backed by the government. The other forms of cryptocurrency that I would consider is like when you get points from Microsoft, or you get points from hotel stays and things like that, or you get points from a credit card, unless you actually get cash or something tangible. It's not backed by the government, even though they are giving you some sort of money. I need to read what Rafat says. He says, I will make you a video that says you're rude and you believe your friends like me and you're fan bully me and you're ignoring me. I hate you now. I'm going to make that video right now and put it in social. Okay, you go right ahead. You go right ahead and do that, Rafat. You go right on ahead. I have no idea what I did to you. I have no idea what I did. Because it's not my intentions to make anybody upset or angry with me because I don't like the drama. Because the drama does, it just does not, it's not a productive conversation. Now, Jeffrey, I could have a conversation with. It's hard right here on the internet. It's very hard to have a conversation like this, so that's why sometimes we need to have like a two-way dialogue, sometimes maybe in private. Rafat, she is reading. She takes time. Yes, I'm slow. Remember that. I'm old and slow. So if you look at Jeffrey and you look at his picture, I'm probably older than him. Or maybe we're about the same age. I'm not quite sure. But Jeffrey said, Batul needs to visit the island and he needs to. Okay, Jeffrey, if we send Batul to Epstein Island, will Batul ever get off of Epstein Island, or is that his new home? I mean, as long as there's ways for them to live off of some coconuts and some bananas and play around with the monkeys, I think they will be entertained all day long on Epstein Island, if I'm right. Yeah, that's what I thought. Now, where is Epstein Island? I was thinking that Epstein Island, she is staying forever. Who is staying forever and where? I've never been to Epstein Island. I think I sailed by it on a cruise ship at one time. I will make a video and post it in social media, and I will say that you're ignoring me. You bullied me, and you're so rude, like you're rude now. I hate you right now. Oh, it is. So it is in the Caribbean. Okay. So isn't it south of the Virgin Islands? One of those, like, is it St. Thomas? Epstein Island. And you know what was so funny? I think I pointed out an Epstein Island in one of my videos on my original YouTube channel because I wanted to know what the island was, because I know when we were sailing away, I remember there being one of those sailboats, like a tall ship that they have in the tall ship contests and things like that. But it kind of reminded me of something that would be like the Mayflower. But there was an island, and I thought, I kind of want to remember what that island is. And so when I got home, I looked on the Google Maps, and think that's what I found was Epstein Island. But I had no idea who Jeffrey Epstein was at the time, or nor did anybody else. Um, because all of this stuff, this whatever's going on now, and it's like, well, wait a minute, this is weird, because it's like some of this stuff is related to tropical islands. We've mentioned this stuff, and so maybe there's a lot of us who have mentioned these things that we've seen before. When did that happen, Batul? Maybe just get out, because we are not trying to make you mad. Oh my God, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you so much. You're a bully. I'm going to buy. I will never look at your live, and please remember me by. What happened in Epstein Island? Okay, what they're saying happened in Epstein. Jeffrey is being accused of something. Oh, let me tell you this too. Okay. Okay, so an attorney is not going to reveal what happened to children to the media. They would be a fool, because of the fact that if there's children involved, then that increases the chances of Jeffrey not getting a fair trial, because the people in the case, then it's poison. The case is kind of poison. So I can't remember what the wording is that it's called. We've heard of things where cases would have to go to a different county because they said the jury pool is contaminated in that sense. And so the more that you highlight a case, then it's harder to seat in a jury because of the fact that more people know about the case. And so the case is supposed to be done in the county where the crime happened. Oh, well, oh, wait. That's an interesting point right there. Because I was just thinking. So Epstein Island, I'm not sure if Epstein Island is actually an American island or not. If it's not an American island, Epstein Island is not going to have a court, or if it's because I think it's a private island, maybe owned by Donald Trump. No, it's all rigid. Definitely wasn't me. I actually believe you. I believe that Jeffrey is a scapegoat. Jeffrey is still alive. He's a scapegoat. And this is all a distraction from what Donald is doing. So Donald is doing something very, very... Donald allegedly is doing something very corrupt. Because if Jeffrey would have done something, so what would have happened then? He would be brought to the United States. The kids' names would be private. Nobody is going to tell what the kids did if there was something that he did. But oh, you know what this is, Jeffrey? It's gaslighting. So this is where because that's gaslighting to get a person to back off of an investigation. So let's say Jeffrey was a CIA agent or an FBI agent that was interrogating or investigating a alleged corruption. And then his name gets blasted in the media on purpose to keep the media fixated on them. So by plausible deniability, then the president is not in the media as much. So even though he is saying that he's getting censored, he orchestrated himself being taken out of the media himself. P. Diddy never had his own island. Well, Jeffrey, you'd have to be like a gazillionaire to own your own island. So Epstein Island is actually Trump's island. It's not yours? It's not Jeffrey Epstein's island? Well, P. Diddy, is my understanding that P. Diddy actually is in NBC jail. That's what Nancy Grace said. That P. Diddy is in jail on an NBC studio lot. That he's not actually even in jail, but they're saying he's in jail because Nancy Grace was on Merit TV. Now, Merit TV is owned by, it's owned by Dr. Phil. That's his investment, but they've gone bankrupt. So apparently they don't have enough money to keep it running. But the last time I saw a Nancy Grace, which has been a few weeks ago, she said that P. Diddy was at an NBC studio. He's ordering cheesecake. He's being treated really, really good. She said that they get knocked out of their top tier as entertainers when they do something they're not supposed to do. And so she said what it is they call it jail because they're being punished because they did something, and so they don't get to go be in their mansions anymore, and they get punished, and they have to do all their work inside of a studio now. So they don't get to be outside in their big mansions anymore. They get taken to the studio, and they have to do everything in the studio where there's other people around, and they're watching what they're doing. Diddy was unguilty of the two crimes. I don't care. I really don't care about Diddy. I mean, because I just, well, this is more of that thing of where, I mean, some people said he was really old too. I don't know. I mean, it's more of that tabloid stuff. That's how Donald got elected president, was through the tabloid media. I mean, but the thing is, I never knew Jeffrey personally. And I always thought that, I mean, what has this been, like 8 years ago? I don't know how long ago was it. I remember when I had a place to live, sitting in the living room, I looked at my ex-husband and I said, why would that man want to kill himself? It never made any sense to me. Why would he want to do that? Yeah, almost 9 years ago, almost 10 years ago now, yeah. That's when Trump was running for president the first time. So oh my gosh. So that was the setup to distract. So Jeffrey Epstein was the setup to distract from what Trump was doing, because Trump was doing something. So they set up with the distraction. And then Trump always uses plausible deniability to allude to, well, maybe it did happen, maybe it didn't happen. So it's kind of like trying to take both sides of an issue, you can appear that you take both sides of an issue when you know that something actually did happen that is a corrupt criminal practice. Hitler did the same and killed himself because he didn't want them to catch him alive for his pride. See, I don't know what happened to Hitler. I've just been learning this about Hitler, that he ended his own life, which I never heard what happened to Hitler. I just assumed he died from old age. Because even during the Nazi war, during the Holocaust and World War II, I don't even remember what happened to Hitler, or if he was captured or if he fled the country. I know a lot of times it sounds like that they like to make dictators flee their own country and go off someplace else where they have to start over, and then they can't get any access to their money. So they want to isolate the dictator who has been frauding people, or that's what it seems like anyway. And I know Donald did mention on TV yesterday, I watched a little bit because I hadn't watched in quite some time. He did say that Putin is not cooperating with him like he thought he would. I don't know what that means, but I found that kind of odd. It's like where he's upset with Putin because he says Putin is not cooperating with him. And it's like, well, what was it that he wanted Putin to cooperate with him about? And if that's the case, what is he trying to do with Putin to get Putin to cooperate? And here is it that maybe Putin is more of a character of integrity than our own president is right now? Is that possible? I mean, I know I'm going out here on a limb. This is a hypothetical. So hopefully nobody takes it the wrong way. But a lot of people have been making a lot of alluding to related to things that Donald is doing that seem to be very, oh, what word am I looking for? Not right. That he's not in his right mind. That's the only thing, that he's having a mental health struggle. He's having a very big mental health struggle of some sort. An episodic. Putin has been the leader of Russia since 2004. The people of Russia want him there for a reason. Okay. And our United States government always says that these other countries have a right to defend their own borders, which is kind of similar to other countries have a right to have a president they want to have, I would think. Okay, goodbye, Allnover. Goodbye. See you later. And so that's the thing that I find confusing related to Putin and Russia, is because it's sometimes, for a long time it seemed like we had a really good relationship with Russia because of the fact through science, the United States, this is what I've always thought. The United States and Russia have always had space missions. And it's like, if our countries really don't get along, what's going on with all these space stations? Now, does people like Donald Trump think we're dumb and we just fell off the turnip truck? Is that what they're thinking? Because it's like, how, if relationships between the United States and Russia are strained, why would the United States send American citizens to Russia to blast off into outer space, and the United States and Russia are doing joint space missions to outer space? Now, to me, that's a cognitive dissonance to Trump now, and we hate Russia. And it's like, well, wait a minute. How can we have a space program that gets along with Russia, but Donald just hates Putin and Russia. Well, if that's his personal opinion, that's one thing. But he's supposed to be the leader of the country, and he's supposed to be a negotiating authority who, in my personal mind, would be looking at war at a very, very last resort instead of trying to start wars. I mean, he's taken us through a media war. He's taking us through a tariff war now. I mean, it's like he has a vendetta against the American public. Donald has a vendetta against, oh, I want to use a word so bad. It's like I will use one word. I'll leave the F word out of it. It's a revenge. There's something that's going on and some kind of revenge. I don't know if it's because he's mad because he lost his business. He's having a temper tantrum meltdown. Don Juan Deception says, yeah, we were letting them do whatever. And so it's just like there is a revenge. Donald is being revengeful against the American public for some reason. Jeffrey says he's a puppet like every president after JFK. Well, I mean, I've heard that often, that presidents are puppets. I mean, but what? Well, I mean, I don't know how to take that because of the fact that it's my understanding that presidents are used a lot of the time. They're supposed to be for all people. So we're not supposed to look at what the vessel is. Presidents are supposed to be for all people, which should be true. Now, we've had 47 men who have been presidents. Now, which that makes it hard for a little girl to have aspirations to be president one day because we've never had a woman as president. So it makes it hard for women in the United States to have aspirations and a dream to be president one day when we've never had a woman president, ever. And so Donald doesn't do much to help at all related to a woman being president because there's so much abuse that goes on. I mean, he has literally admitted to buying a prostitute. So I just use the word prostitute. I like Stormy Daniels. I think she's a hero more than anything. I mean, because, well, yeah, maybe she committed a crime. She hasn't had any charges against her. Presumably, someone said she owes Donald money for some reason. That story just didn't make any sense to me. And then for him to go through the trial in the state, while he was running for president at the same time. So he used the taxpayers' money and the court system to run for president. So he got the taxpayers to pay for his presidency by running his whole campaign through the court system. Oh, they're against me. They're out to get me. I mean, he sounded like a paranoid schizophrenic. And people still voted for him. But that's what he said. He said the people who watch Fox News are so stupid that they will vote. I guarantee they'll vote for me. And so I was thinking the first time he ran for president, it looked to me, the look on his face was that of a shock. It looked like he couldn't believe that he actually won. Which I thought was funny. He was in disbelief because I was thinking that, because it's like, why would he want to run for president? He's a rich man. He's a billionaire. He's old. Now, if you have that much money, why do you want to keep working? If you're a billionaire, And I'm not the only one who asks this question. That's the thing I see. A common denominator that I see are all these questions that I've asked myself, and other people are asking them too. So you're a billionaire. You've got all the money you need in the world. Why do you want to be president of the United States if you're a billionaire? Well, I can tell you my theory, and this is only a theory. My theory is that he owes someone outside of the United States a lot of money. Power. Yeah, you're right, Jeffrey. You're right. But see, for me, it's not power. It's more symbolic than anything. It's not even power. I mean, because I'm not someone right now. I've always said in the past, just because of things that happen on YouTube, I always said, I do not, it's not necessary for me to show my face. I don't want to be famous. There's so many headaches that go along with it. What I said is, I like the money that came along with the internet at the beginning, the money, and, just having a steady income. That was nice. If I can pay for myself, take care of myself, buy a house, and then retire in peace and just go completely off grid the rest of my life and have something comfortable to live off of the rest of my life and have a nice house that's my own house where I can have a garden and do some things that I always wanted to do my whole life, I think it would be great to do that. And I'll live by myself. I'll get the hell out of the hair of men because I'm a pain in the ass to men. I already know that. The men on the internet have said that they don't like women. A lot of them don't like women. And then I can just take care of myself, and that's that. Men never have to look at me or hear from me again. If I go on the internet, I'm just going on there to find something to keep myself entertained, and I'm checking out of life completely altogether. Because all I keep hearing on the internet is that men don't like me. I'm a woman. I'm a threat. I'm a threat to politics. I'm a threat to society. We have inflation. That's an elephant in the room. That's a whole nother elephant in the room, is inflation. And I've asked for a cap on inflation, and I've met with this pushback from the bankers and the brokerage companies of, well, we can't create a business then if we put a cap on inflation. Well, that means you can't do your Ponzi scams, and you can't buck the interest rate up and keep bucking it up higher and higher and higher. And that's what's going on. So people can't afford to survive. And that's one of the biggest questions that soldiers have asked their own self, is that, why are they homeless when they get out of the military? Well, that's because we have inflation. The government is allowing inflation to happen. So we have both ends of the spectrum. You got the soldier who joins the military, and then when he gets out, he doesn't have a home. The soldier has a home for 20 years, and then he's homeless. Some realtors have said, well, soldiers can buy a house and they can rent it out. Well, no soldier wants to have a house that's a dump because they've had to rent it out while they moved. Otherwise, the wife is living in the house. He's staying in the barracks. They're making the house payment to pay the house off. She may or may not have a job. She may or may not be raising kids. And, I mean, it's easy to see the breakdown of the whole family that's taken place my whole adult life since I've been born. I mean, I can see that because of my age. And I know a lot of young kids don't want to listen to us old people. They just don't. And I respect that. I know my own kids didn't want to listen to me. However, they will listen to strangers. So that's one thing that I've learned, is that young people, they want guidance from other adults. They just don't want it from their own parents. They've been around their parents, but they want to hear things and learn things from other people who are older, just not their parents necessarily. That doesn't mean they'll reject their parents altogether. I don't think most will reject their parents. But when they hear maybe something similar from other people, Then they can say, oh, this is what my parents were talking about. They might be able to rationalize that a little bit. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, we see, those of us on the internet see the distraction and the garbage that comes out of tabloid gossip media, and that's what Fox News is doing right now because they're saying that they're just entertainment. They're That's what they're saying. They are strictly entertainment. They want to say that nothing on the internet is real, and that's what Donald is doing too. So he's completely dismissing people who have had crimes happen and take place on the internet and through the internet. Now, the other thing that happens on the internet is the money laundering. And I'm told this by in another place on the internet, and the people they've told me, they're like, "Oh, we're aware of this. We know this is going on." And so they don't want to hear about it anymore. So if they don't want to hear about it, then to me that means like, okay, you're part of it. You're either that you're part of it, you're part of the problem, or you're benefiting it from it in some way. So if you fit from it in some way, you know what's going on, then maybe you don't have family who is affected by inflation and homelessness. So you're making your own self richer. You got more money going to you. Well, then you're choking off everybody else. And that's how YouTube works too. YouTube works in the same way. So YouTube, yeah, there are, what is Mr. Beast? He's like, how old is he? Like 26 or 25 or something like that. So you got Mr. Beast and PewDiePie, who are guys who are in their 20s and 30s. And they're supposed to be influencers. And so either PewDiePie or Mr. Beast should be the next president of the United States of America because they have all this influence and power? Yes, it's very easy to launder money through an online business if you look into. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely easy to launder money. I mean, like, well, and they can bypass YouTube and Google too. I mean, they can go through PayPal, through Cash App, through any of these companies to launder money. Well, and through the stock market too. I was just thinking about the stock market because, okay, if they set up cryptocurrency is not backed by anything. The government does not back cryptocurrency. So if they have a collapse and a crash, the government, they're just losing their money. And so there's people in the past over 3 years that I have seen who have had like a PayPal card, and they were trying to buy hotel rooms and food with it. But with a PayPal card, you're not going to be able to use that like a credit card unless it's an actual credit card that actually has PayPal on it. You can't use Google or Apple to like a credit card. And so that's what these people are trying to do. So they've got these little cards made up that have the wallet that is from the internet on them, and that's what they're wanting to use to buy hotel rooms. Now what they can do is, if they've accumulated points and things like that, through the websites, and one of the politicians had mentioned this a couple years ago. He says, I never thought in terms of the 500,000 Sky Mile points that I have at the airport. He said, I never thought of that in terms of money. He says, but you know something? Right now I do. That is money. That is a gift. That is, the rewards are money, and they're accumulating, and so they are valuable. They do have a value to them. And so that was just his point that he was making related to the reward system. But through the internet, my gosh, I get this thing on my phone. This is going to sound crazy. Now there is a blog that I'm subscribed to. It's called Medium. And related to Medium, with almost every single one of these posts, I am getting a thing that is saying that it makes it look like it's a bank or something, and that someone's getting paid like $10,000 per post. So in the post with Medium, there's always money attached to it. And I'm like, what in the world is this? There's always money, like a bunch of money. And I'm like, I can't imagine someone is actually getting paid $10,000 just to make one post on Medium. But what I looked into it and then learned, one of the articles, it's a sponsored story article is what it is. And what it said was that every single one of the links inside of the post is a paid link. And so it's a sponsored story. And so they have a link inside of the article, and it links to something else. And that's the link building. I mean, now any of us can do the link building. I don't know if that still works or not, or if Google has gotten rid of all that. I hope they haven't gotten rid of it, because that's the same premise as how you make your YouTube channel more popular. Only when we do it by ourselves, we don't get paid for it. We're just doing it by ourselves because we're doing our own marketing. I mean, it's a very similar premise, where you have the network people working together, or you have one person who gets paid to write a story, and then they drop in maybe 5 or 10 links within the story. And, I don't even mind that when they have links inside of the story. But a lot of these stories, what they have on every side and at the top and at the bottom, they have these other side stories that pop up, and they get annoying. They're kind of like spam. And so I'm not as fond of those as, when they have so much stuff on there, and it's like you just took and turned a sponsored story that has 10 links in it into a spam page, and you probably got paid, what, like millions of dollars just for that one page? I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But I'm trying to kind of pivot back to the premise of the title of this video here too, which I know I did talk about it, which is the non-tangible products. Non-tangible products is interest. It's not tangible. We don't get we don't get anything for interest. Interest is not tangible. It's just like that PDF document, which is the title of my video. It's the same thing as the PDF document in not getting something for a service. Now they're calling interest a service. Interest rates is a service for banks and for brokerage companies. It's not for the consumer. So when they just keep raising prices higher, that's just harming the consumer over and over and over and over again. And not only that, when you have the tariffs, that's not a service for the American public. That means that, okay, you're cutting off trade relations with other countries. I don't know where Donald gets his information from, other than the fact that maybe he's doing it himself, because they inflate the price of clothing. I've said that before, that they inflate the price of clothing. You see that on the show Shark Tank. And then you also have, well, now let's see, I'm trying to think. We have American-made cars. They're just raising their prices. Well, why are the American car companies raising the prices of cars? Why can't we have a cap on inflation? And so, yeah, there's many places to launder money. Blogs and YouTube are places where you can launder money. That's what I'm thinking. and the PDF documents. But yes, blogs. And so that one that I was referencing, I don't know that any of them are doing it. All I'm saying is that I see the potential there of a lot of money laundering through the internet. And that's probably why I get censored when I say that all the time. And sometimes I think that's why I lost revenue to my original YouTube channel, was because I said that. But when you have a show on TV like American Greed for all these decades, I wasn't saying accusing any website of anything specifically, but just because I mention it, then I should get censored out of losing the revenue that I get. I don't think that that's quite right there. So, but see, the more people that get censored, then that means the money goes to someone else anyway. So their intent isn't to actually help people who need help. It's just more money going to the rich folks and not going to help the people who need help. That's what I see. I mean, what good is all this whistleblower protections when they've allowed for the people doing the whistleblowing to get attacked? Well, isn't that called the swatting? Where people who are swatted by the police and doxxed when they're whistleblowing about something, and then someone else who's benefiting from it doesn't like it, and so then they SWAT. Now I was talking about that yesterday. Oh, the gaming community is another place for money laundering. The gaming community, absolutely yes, and through foreign agencies as well. I mean, shall we pivot back to the potential of a president having borrowed millions of dollars or billions of dollars from a foreign country? He owes them money. Well, what happened to the emoluments clause? What happened to the president divesting before he became a president? Can someone tell me that? Yet we have a president currently who still has all of his companies. He didn't divest from any of them, and he's president. What happened to the president not owning companies? But yet he started business while being president. And he didn't divest from those companies when he was running for president the second time. So what happened to... I mean, I find all this confusing. Very confusing. I mean, I know no one has the answers to that. We're all baffled by it. I mean, because he's opened the door. What I see is he opened the door for a hostile takeover of the United States. So, for example, if you're a president who's running for office and you owe millions or billions of dollars to a foreign country, then you've opened the door to a hostile takeover into the United States through the banking industry, I'm kind of thinking. Oh, cryptocurrency does that by itself, though, too. Cryptocurrency opens a huge door to a hostile takeover, or let's say attempted takeover of the United States monetary system. Well, that's what cryptocurrency is sort of it could be viewed as a hostile, some might call it competition to the American dollar, but it can also be a hostile takeover of the American dollar using cryptocurrency, where you have so many people who have put their money into cryptocurrency, but yet it's not backed by the American government. Well, I mean, people don't want to get rid of the American dollar. I sure don't. But what I see being pushed right now is no money whatsoever at all. No money. And everything is based on cryptocurrency payments. Well, but then it has me wondering, well, what about the people who don't have incomes? I mean, now I know that it doesn't matter either way, because you've got cash If a person doesn't have cash, then they don't have a way to get food. If they don't have cryptocurrency, they still don't have a way to get food. If they're not eligible for food in any way, they starve, you know. And so so I'm on the side of humanity with this, and not the rich folks. I've never been on the side of the rich folks. Even though people have said, oh, well, if you want to be like a rich person, you got to think like a rich person and you got to follow the money. And I'm thinking, that is a long fall. That's a long fall. If you get up there to the top, that is a long fall. And I just think of September 11th. That is a long fall. September 11th, I believe, was kind of the start of our economic inflation 911 moment with cryptocurrency and the internet. That's just my opinion. Even though at that time I didn't have the 20 plus years to look back on that I have now. All of us have that to look back on. But I think that September 11th was a precursor to what we have going on right now. September 11th was related to inflation. It was the first dot-com bubble crash. But it wasn't taken, Congress did some things, but it really wasn't taken too seriously, it didn't seem like. And and I was thinking, I went to college in that time frame after the dot-com crash. We didn't learn anything about the dot-com crash at all. So college really wasn't teaching that. College didn't really teach anything. The teacher was there. The teacher is a vessel for, meaning that she just makes sure that you do your work, that you did work, and you show it to the teacher, and then they assign some kind of grade to the work that you did. So, yeah. See where we end up, back down in the hole again. Back down in the censorship hole again. And now the videos that I get on YouTube as well, a lot of them, okay, I get a bunch of these cheesy ones that are a bunch of cliches and everything. And they're like, oh, if you repeat these mantras and you'll get good karma and yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Now, there was another one of a guy who's saying, what they say is, oh, it does not matter how much or any of this stuff that you repeat, it's not going to help you at all. And so there's people who are trying to do things a little bit differently related to getting out of the rut. That's what I kind of call it, is getting out of the rut of social media and being in one niche. Because, that's what I found. Being in one niche just does not help. It doesn't work. So how do you teach a niche? How do you do a niche when niche people don't have sponsorship and can't get paid on the internet? So if that's what the sponsors truly want, is just one person to be paid as a sponsor, you have a sponsor, and then you have a sports figure who receives money for their sports playing, well, then they make millions of dollars. That one person does. That's not spread through everybody. And it's like, it gets boring. It's like, I don't want to talk about a sports player all the time. Okay, so the thing I think about is, I'm not a fan of boxing. And so we've heard about every year we had to hear about Muhammad Ali. So he was a famous boxer. We heard about him. They never really put up anything about the negative side of Muhammad Ali. I knew there was a 70s song. His name was Cassius Clay, according to the 70s song. He could dance like a butterfly and float like a bee. No one stinks like Muhammad Ali, or something like that. And so, anyway, people liked Muhammad Ali, but they didn't show or fixate on that other side because Phil Donahue, no relation to Dr. Phil, but Phil Donahue, he actually had he had a exchange on his show, and Phil Donahue, he was controversial at times. And so this exchange was Muhammad Ali was talking to these two ladies inside of the studio. And so Muhammad Ali was very famous. Muhammad Ali tells the two ladies, he's like, well, you ladies have white privilege. You can go into any bank you want to go into and get a loan. He says, I can't do that. And so, but you know what I was thinking though at that time? Well, how come Phil Donahue and his staff didn't raise that issue with the bank and with Congress? So instead of putting it on the TV show and shaming the two white ladies who were in Phil Donahue's audience, why didn't they take that issue to the bank and to Congress? If that's true, because I'm thinking Muhammad Ali was very, very famous at that time. He had to have had millions of dollars to put in a bank. I can't imagine he was storing his money in a mattress. And so Muhammad Ali, but he took his rage out on the two white ladies in the audience by telling them they had white privilege. This was back in the 1970s. This is an old 1970s Phil Donahue show. And, so when Ted Cruz, bless his heart, has been talking about critical race theory. A lot of the politicians have been talking about critical race theory. And this is a great conversation, I think, to have, because I always questioned the little girl who asked me if we could be friends, and I said, yes, we can be friends. And she's like, well, can I come spend the night? And I said, I don't know if my mom will let me or not. And, so she was of the mindset of it's because she's black. And I told her, well, no, we live 8 miles from each other, and my mom doesn't really let me have anybody come spend the night. We live in 2 different towns. You live in the town far away, and I live in the town over here. And so that wasn't something that I ever did. Was my mom didn't let me have slumber parties with the girls who lived in town. Skin color didn't matter. We just didn't have slumber parties. It was somebody we knew from our local town in church. That was it. It had nothing to do with skin color. So that was always thrown around. So if we want to talk about critical race theory, we do have white shaming. We absolutely do. And, so that's something that right now we can talk about by our own selves. Because I can't talk about that in public because we might hurt someone's feelings based on their perception of what they think. And I'm not willing to get hit again by another black man because my ex-husband was black. And I'm not willing to get hit again. My marriage was domestic abuse, and I'm not willing to go through that again. I'm absolutely not interested in being physically abused over a black man telling me I have white privilege. So that's kind of in relationship to the Phil Donahue of those two white ladies from over 40 years ago to 2021 and the insurrection in that time frame, and my bad marriage that everybody tells me to just get over and forget about it. And that's where I am. Nobody wants to hear about it. Or that's what I keep hearing, that nobody wants to hear about it. And the only reason they'll want to hear about it in media is if they can make money from it. That's the only reason. In media, it's about the money. If it's a story they can sell. Now, I had a guy on YouTube recently. He says, "Well, why don't you come on my channel and tell about your story?" He says, "I bet we'd get lots of views." And I'm like, "But yeah, you're the one earning the revenue from it. Why would I want to do that? You're the one earning the revenue from it. It's my story. Why do I want to tell you so you can earn revenue off of my story? I'm not interested." The same thing with me not wanting to talk to CNN or any other news agency. It's like I was doing things that were not high drama stuff. It was not tabloid stuff. I was doing something crafting. But for the high profile drama crap, that doesn't make enough money, I guess. And so we just get left behind. And it seems like everybody else wants a bunch of drama. I'm not interested in the drama. Yeah, so but if you start talking about things, there's always someone there to take you out, just like the conversation I was having with Jeffrey. There's someone there to take you out. And I think that's where we'll end it. I've been on here for an hour and 30 minutes. That's good. I think that's where I'll end it here.